Welcome to the Lumberland. Welcome everybody to the Lumber Lounge and Garage. We are at the home base this evening. We're at the home base this evening. Going to be, I'll explain why here in a minute. We do have a special guest tonight that will be phoning in.
Daddy?
Yes, buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, can you bring it to me, please?
Yeah.
I got it. I'm over here in the chair. Thanks, buddy. Love you. Wave to everybody. Or just go, okay. I got to show you guys this cool thing. Cool, my new chain. Pretty dope. So, I'll make sure sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Welcome to the Lumber Lounge and Garage bench racing. It's Monday night. We're here for another episode. I am by myself this evening. Shane is again in Florida for some business. So, and I've been going down to the Trifecta shop to do the shows down there on the red casting couch. Unfortunately, Steve had made a little road trip, so he was going to stay at the house. And Bobby is in Australia. He left yesterday for Australia, so we got the Cheetah chair here. If you might recognize it from the Chili Bowl live shows, so we're here in the start of the Lumber Lounge, and we're just hanging out. Before we get started with bringing Ryan on, as always, cheers. Cheers to Trav. Cheers to Chap. Cheers to Ed. Cheers to Avery. Every week now. Cheers to Avery. So let's get it going. All right. So before we call Ryan, I just want to go over a couple things. Obviously, we gave away the TV last week, and that went all smooth. Again, thanks to Justin Pataka for helping out with that. But one thing I wanted to bring up tonight it's not really bringing it up. It's just a thank you. Tonight's show wouldn't have been possible without Kiwi Lawn and Landscape out of Kansas City. My good buddy Woody helped make everything happen tonight, so I appreciate him, along with all my other sponsors that have come on board. If you need any landscaping or lawn, anything done in the Kansas City area, please be sure to give Woody a call. He'll even take care of your drippy faucets that are outside your house. So anyway, thanks again to Woody for making this all happen today. I met Woody at the Chili Bowl, and he's been nothing but a very gracious friend to me since then. So let's get it going. Oh, shoot. I'm recording something there. I'm going to get Ryan on here so we can talk. I want to talk about Volusia over the weekend and the things that happened down there. So Ryan was there racing, so let me give him a call. Get him on the line. and everybody make sure that. Yeah, I have the heater on 86 because I don't have any insulation in my house or in my
Hello.
garage. Is this Mr. Ryan Timms?
Yes, it is. What's going on?
What's up, buddy? How we doing?
Pretty good.
Good, man. First and foremost, thanks for joining us tonight. I know you got a busy schedule and maybe a little downtime right now.
Yeah, no problem turning me on. It's not bad. I'm in Oklahoma right now, but I'm gonna go up to South Dakota in the morning where the team's at.
Oh yeah, I bet it's a little chillier up there.
Yeah, a little bit.
So one thing we do here on the Bench Racing Lumber Lounge and Garage, the Bench Racing shows, is we talk about the racing from the week prior. You obviously were there.
Yep.
What was your take on it? What was Volusia like to you? I know you went last year and you won there in the 360. Am I correct?
Yeah, at 360 I did.
Yep. What's
No, it was good. Just definitely had a lot more success there this time around than the last few times we've been there. Volusia's a pretty I feel like you can ask anyone. It's a pretty tricky place, and just kind of for whatever reason, it's always a place that even some of the top outlaw guys struggle at. So to have speed there especially, definitely makes me really happy and gives me a lot of confidence moving forward.
Yeah, especially that was your first go around with the 10 team. It's Liebig, is that how they pronounce it?
Yep, Liebig.
Yeah, Liebig out of South Dakota, first round of racing down there. You raced for them at the end of last year, but to have speed out of the gate going into this year definitely had to be a big confidence booster, like you said. You ended up hard charger, correct? Was it both nights or one night?
She was Friday and Saturday night, no, Thursday and Saturday.
Nice.
I want to say.
So, the competition level, when you get up to that upper echelon of sprint car drivers, what's that like racing with those guys?
It's definitely a lot more hardcore than maybe your, I don't know, typical ASCS race or Knoxville or Huset show. Them guys, they don't give you not even an inch. I mean, it's you show a nose, they're chopping you, or they see you at all, they're gonna block. And the speed difference is obviously a lot bigger. Them guys, their cars are. I mean, I feel like pretty much the top. At least this weekend, there was a couple better guys there that normally at an outlaw show, but like the top 10, top 5, it's everyone's within a tenth really, and so it's no mistakes and just being as aggressive as possible. It's definitely tough. You got to get qualifying is really at that level. It's 80, maybe 90% of your night, just putting yourself in a good spot. And then once you're there, it's racing with the best guys in the world. So it's not easy, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's I was there for the 360 portion of it with the ASCS, and especially at a track like that, qualifying is so key. I mean, you're talking maybe 3/10 between first and 20th.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. It's all everyone's wide open on that big track, especially like heat race time, and it's because I mean Volusia doesn't get racy until the feature really.
Right.
So heat race dash, qualifying especially. Qualifying was ridiculous. I mean the top 10 in each group are literally all in the same tent. Like it's just one little twitch of the wheel or being one right rear width too high or too low could take you from being front row of a heat to third row.
Yeah, and with the Outlaws, it's you got to be that top speed or top qualifier because they do in essence, cater to the fast guys and put you on the front row. They don't do the four car invert, like an ASCS does. So that definitely means a lot, especially on a track that doesn't race well in heat races,
Yeah, he high limit even because it's with high limit, the quicker guys they go fourth, and then I think it's heads up from there. Like the second quickest guys will be pole and second. So and they do heat winners and the quickest. So with like that format, even if you qualify not super great, you still have a little bit of a chance to get in that dash.
Yeah, and that's ASCS the same way. If you're quick time in your group, you start fourth in the heat race, but you're second quick, you're on the pole. So that's still a little bit rewarding, but it's just tough, man. The Outlaws are tough. They're always going to be tough. There's not going to be any change to that. And then you throw in guys like yourself and Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson and the guys that aren't traditionally now Outlaws, and it's just it's a handful. I mean, for you to have the speed you had, and I think you went 19th to 10th on the Thursday night portion. Was that what it was?
Yeah, pretty sure it was Thursday.
Yeah. I mean, just to have, and especially there, because everybody is so close to up to speed. I will say, and you can probably attest to this, if you're off there, you're a mile out. Like you're out of the ballpark completely.
Yep.
Yeah. What's it like driving for Liebig down there? I mean, I know you got to run with them the last few years, and you got a new team, you got a new crew, I think, as well, don't you?
Yep. It's definitely a change. I honestly like it better. Like running for my dad, it's all right. You always know you're gonna have a spot there, and running for someone else, I mean, you want to do. I'm not saying I didn't want to do well for my team there and my dad, but just running for a group of guys that essentially hire you and they're there to support you and believe in you. So it just pushes you to want to win more and want to get better yourself. And it's all a really good group of guys. They're all Shane, he's the crew chief and car owner. He's definitely old school, but he doesn't want anything but the best for me, and wants to beat all those guys just as bad as I do. So I think it's a real good matchup, and it seems to be whatever he does to make his car go fast just suits my driving style really well.
Yeah, we seen that out of the gate last year, right? Like you guys were fast out of the gate last year, and then but you bring up a good point, like. And I'm glad you recognize that, with your dad's team. I mean, in essence, you hope that your dad would never fire you, right?
Right.
But I think that what you did in your dad's car is what catapulted you into this position you're in now, where they will hire you.
Right.
There's, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen a lot, but it really doesn't happen a lot. And your potential and your talent definitely is shown from the time you were a kid racing junior sprints and micros and up into midgets and now into the wing 410s. Man, it's pretty cool to watch. So a lot of people don't know that I got to stand on the stage with you for a driller for that junior sprint.
Yeah.
I mean, a driller's a driller, right? Like so that's pretty cool to see your progression, and it's cool to see that you're with the Liebig team, and I know it probably takes a little bit of pressure off of your dad and he can probably enjoy the races a little bit more. I know he's a workaholic anyway.
Yeah. Doesn't stop. There.
I got a question for you from somebody that's listening. It says, I know your dad was more of a modified driver, but how pivotal has he been on your journey as a driver?
He's been really great. He's owned up until this point, I've always raced for him, besides midgets maybe, but he's been really good as, a dad, just supporting me and giving me the best stuff and want me to do well. And then even as a racer himself, he knows kind of how it is, and just I guess what drivers go through mentally, maybe doing this.
Yeah.
And so he's been about as great as I could ask in both aspects of it. And I honestly can't say enough about him.
Yeah, he's always been pretty nice to me. And I appreciate his friendship along with yours. And we have a lot of same friends with Joe Duval, and and your dad surrounded you with the right people as well. Coming up through the ranks, with Billy Lawhead and Jimmy Jones, and just kind of creating that path for you, because your dad does know what it takes. And I think that's very important. There's some dads out there and that they want their kid to have the best, but they don't really understand what it takes to be the best. And there's a few dads out there like your dad, and even Leighton Crouch with Brenham. They understand what it takes to have the best but still be the best. And so I think it's cool.
And I was just fixing to say, like, he's always surrounded me with just good mentors, I guess.
Yeah.
Like with Billy, from when I was probably 9 years old to 14, 15, Billy was with me the whole time.
Yeah.
And he took, even in junior sprints, really through that entire time, it was me and Billy on the road, just me and him, and a toter home, going national junior sprint racing across the country. And so being around him that much, it's basically like a second dad, and just having just the way you learn from him and just spend that much time with him. But yeah, it was Billy, Jimmy, and then I've had a lot of great sprint car guys that have been around it for a long time, that have I've learned from all of them, and just what it takes to be a professional race car driver.
That's awesome, man. And I know that we got a couple other questions here, but I know that you and Billy, Billy went on his own way, but do you and Billy still talk? Are you guys still friends? Everything's still cool there?
Yeah, everything's still really good.
That's good.
We don't talk as much as we used to, obviously, just because we're doing our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I see him, we talk, and he texts me every now and again saying good run and whatnot. So
that's good. He's
doing good. I'm doing good. So I'm glad we're still on good terms.
Yeah, because you see a lot of times where, and by no means do I think that was a bad breakup. Obviously, I'm friends with Billy too, so he talked to me about it. But sometimes in this racing industry, you have bad breakups, and they don't ever talk to each other again, and you hate to see that. You know what I mean? Especially people that were so close as like you and Billy.
Right.
We got a couple questions here for you. So another question is, what is the best advice your dad has given you?
That's a pretty long list, but I'd probably have to say just he knows with running a business, building his business, he's built his business that he has now from the ground up, and with that, he was also a pretty accomplished race car driver, and so just with life in general, being a race car driver, the best advice I'd probably say would be just how to be the best version of yourself, like what it takes, and just doing everything possible. That you can't control everything, but there's a lot of things that you can control to put yourself in a good position, and that's essentially what I would say has been the best advice he's given me.
That's awesome. The guys from Hoagie's Garage say hello. They're watching.
Nope. Hi to them.
Yeah.
They're good. Good guys.
Oh man, they're so good. So good. Joe Duval has a question for you.
Let's hear it. I can't wait for this one.
When are you gonna get an adult nickname? Chocolate chip, chocolate milk, milk chocolate, dark chocolate.
They're all a spin off of white chocolate, it sounds like.
It sounds like it. Yep.
Whenever, I'm not giving myself a nickname, so whatever people decide to call me, I'll roll with it.
I understand that. For sure. I've obviously everybody calls me Snow, and I've had that nickname for almost it's almost 30
That's
years
all I've
now.
known you as.
Yeah, it's
since I've known you.
almost 30 years, and it was given to me. So yeah, it's
I figured you didn't start calling yourself Snow one day.
No, but it does come along the same lines as the white chocolate. I was the only white guy everywhere I went and playing basketball, so that's how that came about.
Gotcha.
So
I think white chocolate was more of a alter ego whenever some alcohol gets involved.
it happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I used to be Larry when alcohol got involved.
Yeah.
Yep. That way, it's kind of like I didn't know who I was if Snow wasn't enough, right?
Right.
But
nothing wrong with having some fun.
Exactly. So, obviously you're a race car driver and you hear the same questions over and over again. And the one thing I like to do is just get away from the racing for a minute. And what does Ryan like to do outside of racing? I think you're a little bit of a golfer, right?
Yep, I'd say golfing is probably my main hobby outside of racing whenever the weather's decent.
You actually had a shirt that was a golf shirt, didn't you? Or had a golf theme on it?
It was a Caddyshack shirt.
Ooh.
Had the gopher and sprint car on the golf course and all that.
I need to get one. You still got any of those?
There might be some online, but I'm pretty sure those are the best shirts we ever sold. They sold out quick.
I guarantee it.
But that's a good problem to have.
We were talking, I forget who I was talking to the other day, and we were talking about shirts, obviously. I mean, I sell apparel, and if you need any apparel, go to lumberlounge.com, everybody that's watching. I got to do a shameless plug there. But we were talking about how, I was talking to Dason about it down in Florida, and we were talking about the different colors and stuff, and we were talking about how Brady Bacon's kind of figured that out, right? Like, his shirts, they're always the wild colors. They're always something off the wall. And, man, they just sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, I think Brady he's probably the top merch seller in the, sprint car world, but USAC world especially.
Yeah. And
he's always got, like you said, the bright colors, and there's always a theme to it. It's never just plain, basic 69 Macho Man. There's always something to it, which I think is kind of how you got to be now. I mean, they all look the same for the most part.
I mean, he even took his, was it at Terre Haute where he ballparked it?
Mm-hmm.
And he, where he was up, I mean, dude, that was the highest I've ever seen a sprint car in my life. And he's got a crap ton of shirts from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him, Blue, Rico, they all.
Oh, yeah, when they had their little war going on, him and Blue.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's funny.
Cool. What's your handicap, or do you even know?
Well, I don't know what handicap. I don't know how to score it off handicap, but I'm just average, between 95 and 105, somewhere in there.
I mean, you can go play golf then.
I'm down for golf anytime.
We need to. And they have these places here in Tulsa, and I'm sure they have them in Oklahoma City too, but they have these indoor golf facilities where you don't lose golf balls and you don't
golf simulator.
Yeah, they're fun to be in.
Yep, I got one of those not too far from me that I play at quite a bit.
That's awesome. There's two of them here in Tulsa. If you're ever up this way and it's not warm out, we can bring your clubs and we'll go to Birdie Bay or Scratch Golf down in Bigsby. They're pretty fun. And we just need to go play golf in general. I know we talked about it in the past. I think it'd be a good time. I always take my clubs to Knoxville, so.
Yeah, I golf. I think I've golfed in Knoxville every year I've been there.
Yeah.
there's some good courses around there.
Well, outside of golf, or I mean, like, you know, a lot of you young kids, because you're still a young kid, even though on the track you race like a seasoned veteran. Like a lot of these young kids do like the iRacing and the gaming. Are you into that, or?
Yeah, I play iRacing pretty often. I'm pretty off and on with it. Like some weeks, that's all I do, and then others I don't ever touch it. But yeah, I like to try to get on there a good bit. Just I know it's not like super realistic, but I feel like in some way it's got to help with something, even if it maybe it's just like reflexes or just you still kind of race the same on there, and like the sense of slide jobs and all the maneuvers you would use to pass guys. So I feel like it can't hurt.
See, and I kind of think that, and this is just me. I've never raced, right? I did have a mechanics race under my belt where I spun out twice, but I feel like it's muscle memory, right? Like
Yeah.
it's you're just constantly keeping your muscles trained on the movements that you do, even though it may not have the G's to it and all the force that's putting it on you, but it's still creating that muscle memory. You think that helps you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can. The only difference I'd say would be like on iRacing or in a micro and iRacing, like the steering wheel is straight up and down, and the pedals where you reach your legs out. Where like in a sprint car or midget, it's opposite kind of. So,
well, you know, WR1 is one of my sponsors. I'm sure that we can get with Chad and figure out a straight up and down legs simulation.
I honestly I thought I heard him. Like I talked to him. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I feel like the last time I talked to him, I remember him saying he was going to try to rig something up where it's like a sprint car. But
yeah, so
I'm not sure if he ever did.
Yeah, so I know him and Kyle had talked about getting the steering wheel to where it was more straight up and down like in a sprint car. But I know he changed some stuff on it to try and help with that, but I know the boxes on them wheels are it's kind of weird how they set, but yeah, I mean it's them things have helped, I think, tremendously for the sport. And, obviously it's helped people that can't afford to actually go racing too. I mean, you got guys that run these e-race, e-NASCAR deals, and you know they can win some money now.
Yeah, there's 10,000+ to win races on iRacing, which, I mean, if you could get good at it and win those, you can make a little change doing it.
So, at the end of the day, iRacing is still considered a video game. So, what is your favorite thing to race on iRacing?
It's the tie between the midgets and sprint cars. I like racing the sprint cars more, but for some reason the midgets are a lot more popular on there, so there's not as many sprint car races, and they don't get quite as filled up as the midget ones do. But
right,
you can definitely tell a difference. Like with the sprint car races, everyone's pretty clean, and it's normally older guys on there, and then you join a midget race and everyone's just straight lining each other, and it's like a bunch of kids on there getting over the mic, but it's a good time.
Yeah, I had some people tell me they really liked racing street stocks on there.
I mean, if you're prone to hitting the wall and other people, probably not a bad idea.
Well, one of our other sponsors, Chris Ferguson and Victory Seats, he's a big iRacing guy and has an iRacing team. And, you know, of course, it's more late model driven. I think he does have some sprint car stuff. But, you know, have you done the late model stuff? Has that intrigued you at all with your dad having that background?
I haven't done any late model or modified stuff in real life, but I've done it on the game, and I watch late model races, and I mean, it is cool. but it just doesn't really interest me a whole lot. I feel like late model races I feel like their dirty air is almost worse than sprint cars at some of these places that I see them. And, I feel like I see a lot more single file. Well, I mean, on bigger tracks at least, I feel like I see a lot more single file racing in late models than I do with sprint cars. And I think I just like the open wheel aspect where it's a little more dangerous and a little, just the stakes are higher. So and then, you see a lot of like bigger guys in late models, and with sprint cars, it's more like the more athletic guys.
For sure.
So
they don't have to spend as much weight on late models for them bigger guys.
Right. Yeah. It seems a lot more, I guess. I mean, late models, I would say more professional on sprint cars, but late models, they race for just as much money, if not more, and the fans are pretty crazy, so.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've just always been more interested in sprint cars and open wheel than I have late models.
Did your dad ever like try to like say, hey, I want you to race a modified or anything like that, or he's like, you choose your own path?
No, he actually is pro sprint car. He's a converted sprint car guy now. He likes the sprint cars more than he does late models, but he's never, anytime someone's been like, hey, let's get you in my modified or late model, he's always been against it pretty much. He kind of just wants to keep me in sprint cars, but
well, I mean, you're pretty decent in a sprint car, so I mean, you shouldn't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like eventually I would like to try, even if it's just like a USMTS deal, like modified race or something. I wouldn't really be against it. Just try it out once.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So you've raced a bunch. What's the most races you ran in 1 year so far? Because you've raced almost every discipline of sprint cars and midgets and open wheel, right?
I mean, yeah. On dirt, I've raced everything but Silver Crown, open wheel wise. Yeah. So pretty.
Do you want to try Silver Crown?
Maybe once. It's kind of like how I feel about non-wing sprint cars. It's just, there's really no reason for me to go do it. It'd be cool, but wing sprint cars are the pinnacle of open wheels. So, but I mean, maybe if I were to race one, I would like to run one at Eldora. I think that would be one of the better places to run it.
So what's because you've got to race quite a bit and you've done the traveling, what's your top 5 favorite racetracks?
That's pretty tough. For sprint cars, because I mean, I have favorites in the midget and then favorites in the sprint car.
So we'll do sprint cars first and then we'll do midgets. We'll do top 5 for each. How about
that? Sprint cars, I'd have to go. It's gonna be hard to put them in order, so we'll just do the top 5.
It don't have to be in order. Just a top 5.
Placerville in California. Tulare.
Oh, I love Tulare.
Yeah, Tulare's awesome.
Trophy Cup's my favorite race.
That's one of my favorites. Eldora, definitely. And probably I'd go Huset's, and
so
then
you gotta put Huset's in there.
Yeah, Huset's.
You're pretty good there.
Yeah, and then it's kind of between. Well, it was I-70, and I only ran there once, but they shortened it and made it smaller. But that high limit race we were there for, it was awesome. Like wide, high banked, or decently banked, and I never even thought about that track, and then went and ran it, and that was one of the most fun times I've had in a sprint car was at that track.
Nice. That's awesome.
Midgets, probably. I'd put Placerville and Eldora in there, and then Port City.
Hell yeah. Cheers, Port City. Cheers, Shane.
Yeah, Port City's a good one. Probably like, there's a lot of good ones. Fairbury, I like Fairbury a lot in Kansas.
Yeah.
And we'll go Wayne. I think it's Wayne County. We only ran there a couple times, but
Is that
it was a good one.
Ohio?
Illinois.
Oh, Coles
The
County?
one I'm thinking of, Wayne County.
Wayne County? Oh, I don't think I've been there.
It's a micro track just in the middle of a cornfield, but
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's a good one.
So, with your Liebig schedule, I know you are going to run Husitz weekly for the points there, right?
Yep.
And then are you gonna run Knoxville weekly, or are you just gonna Friday, Saturday, just kind of wherever you go?
I'll be because I think Knoxville has about 15 shows.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably race like 10 to 13 of them, and then it's against 2 or 3 of them are against like Kings Royal and
right. Which you can dump you can dump a couple races at Knoxville.
Can you?
Yeah. That's how everybody calls it the Brian Brown rule.
Well, maybe if I do well enough and I can dump a night or two, and then might be able to do it.
Yeah, they have there's something about it, like as long as you run like 80% of the races, then you can still be in the hunt for the points.
I don't know about that.
You can miss because I know Brian would always leave and go run like the Kings Royal and stuff like that, and it didn't affect him in his points. And I know that there was maybe 1 or 2 other races that were stacked on top of Knoxville where it was like a high-paying or outlaw race or something. But yeah, so I mean, I want to say there's that rule.
I'd have to look at the schedule and see how many we're planning on missing, and then check that out because I'm not sure.
And I know you love racing a midget. Are you gonna be? You got any midget racing on the schedule, or are you just gonna stick to your 410 stuff?
I don't have any midget racing planned yet. I'm gonna say I would run Chili Bowl. I still do want to run a couple midget races, but I really want to stay in the sprint car and just focus on that and not bring back any bad habits or get jacked up in the sprint car because I go race a midget race. But
so you think that it does, like if you stick to one discipline, that better suits you.
Yeah, I mean I think more just with kind of like you were saying, like muscle memory and just being used to only, because it's a very different feeling, sprint car and midget. So I think just only getting used to the sprint car feeling and just forgetting about everything else and not having something mess with it, then you're gonna probably be better at it. But I mean, running, like I'm still struggling. At Volusia, I was struggling with like pitching the car too much getting in because it's just a natural habit I have from racing
the
midgets the last 2 years. So, but I mean, I think because I'm talking like maybe 5 midget races. So I mean, I don't think 5 midget races is really going to mess with me, but
right. I mean, at least like what are you thinking? Like some Port City stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I want
to stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Just the stuff that's like maybe means a little bit more to you than most.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. That's like Port City. I love any chance I get to race there. I'm going to race there. So if a midget race.
We always talk about this, obviously, with Shane being on the show with me and him having the binge racing, and we always talk about how you kids from Oklahoma, and not just you, but you got Dayson, you got Brady, you got Christopher Bell, You got all these young guys that have come out of Oklahoma, and everybody says that Port City helps. Is that a fact? Like, does Port City like help you prepare for to go race with up in the upper levels?
I think so. I raced back in the micros. I mean, I live 5 minutes from Oklahoma or from I-44,
Mm-hmm.
but we were at Port City every single week, and
Mm-hmm.
just the competition up there. I mean, it is still good now, but when I was like probably 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and 5 years ago, and 10+ years before that, it was like, and I don't know how it is anymore because I haven't been around it, but it was like stacked, best of the best. Like,
Oh, dude, but and even in your age, right? Like, you've had kids that you race with that have come out, and like Reese Moran's going to start running 410
yeah,
more, and I know you and him had some pretty good battles back in the day, and
yeah,
and even which he doesn't race anymore, but Preston Shulin,
mm-hmm,
I mean, like you got that was tough back then, man. Like
yeah,
that was it was cool to go watch all you young kids and just battle it
right.
out, man. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, even in the junior sprint class, it was pretty
Mm-hmm.
stacked and competitive. I mean, junior sprint restrictor, all of it was all stacked, and so it was like at that time to me, it was like it was just as good as competition for me at that time as it is running against the outlaw guys now.
That's
So
awesome.
I think it definitely helps, and
So it helped you mentally as well as on the track. That's cool.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
I think so.
That's awesome.
But
That's awesome.
yeah, there's a lot of good times at Port City.
Oh yeah. Obviously when you were racing there, it was opened back up by Mike and Megan, and I don't know. Did you race there before it closed?
I raced there in junior sprints like 2-3 years before it closed, and then closed for I think like a year or two, and then opened back up.
Yep. So you were there with Lemons and then Mike Megan and Mike Ross and all that, and then now into the Shane era, and it's just, man, you just still see it. You still see battles every week. I mean, you got your local guys. To me, it's kind of like going to Knoxville or PA or one of these places that, they have the local guys that they're there and they mean business. I mean, Chris Carroll is hard to beat. Connor Lee is hard to beat. Jake Rosario is hard to beat. Like, these guys are all hard to beat, and they just race weekly at that track. Chris Carroll gets out more. I seen Connor Lee made a post today that he's stepping away from the 1H micro, and they're filling the seat of that car. But I think he's on to bigger and better things. Not that the 1H is not better, but he's moving up into sprint cars, I believe, and doing some midget stuff. And so, but man, there's still a lot of talent that comes through Port that it's cool to see these kids get opportunities and keep that pipeline, I guess, to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good place to grow.
When's your next race with Liebig?
Definitely. Oh, it'll be February. It's in like 10 or 11 days. TMS Power.
Oh, okay, nice. The 21st and 22nd.
Yep.
Nice.
So we'll be there for that. We weren't originally planning on running it, but I was a little rusty at Volusia and I figured more seat time definitely wouldn't hurt.
A little rusty, but you were still hard charging. Yeah.
I just didn't
you
quite.
Humble kids. You humble kids.
The last day I felt pretty normal, but I could definitely tell I wasn't used to. I've been on the couch for too long. I wasn't used to all the G forces and speed.
So a lot of people, I say a lot of people, I've seen some people, all I could do was watch it on Dirt Vision, but some people were complaining about Saturday night in the track. And I can say, because I was there for the 360 portion and then watching you guys, the track was always pretty decent until that last night. I mean, what did they do different? Did they just not touch it?
They ran the modified A main right before ours versus all the rest of the nights. They ran us before the modified A mains, and they started 35 cars with, I think it was 25 or 30 laps. So it put some wear on the track. Before we all knew it was kind of rubber. It was black.
Yeah, which a lot of people don't know. In the modified world, we talked about the USMTS earlier. They run an American Racer, which is a hard brick, right? Like, it is hard. But UMP runs a really soft Hoosier tire.
Yeah.
And so it creates more wear. And if you've never been to Florida, there's a lot of sand in the dirt. So just think of if you went out to your personal car and you took a piece of sandpaper and started sanding down your tires, it's going to wear away. And so when you run a softer tire on that, it creates abrasion, which lays more rubber down on the track. So a lot of people don't understand that side of it. And so for them to run that before, I did hear that they ran the feature before, and then like they knew it was going to take rubber, and then they just left it alone.
Yep. Yeah, you said it perfectly. Even when it's slick, it'll be slick, and it'll have just like a light brown to the slick, so there's just like a little moisture. And once you get some wing speed up and you run it wide open through the slick, it's like sandpaper, and it just hooks right up. So and you can, even under caution, you like spin the tires up, get off the gas, and it's still sliding, and it's just like screech in the tires. Yeah. It's very abrasive.
Yeah, and so it sucks, right? Because it ended up being a 1-lane race by the end of it, which I feel like was good racing leading up to that. The first 2 nights, I mean, you weren't anywhere to move.
I think it definitely was a little hooked up. The nights before that, it wasn't terrible at all. Yeah. But I think a lot of guys, I'm not sure on this either, but I think a lot of either maybe drivers or maybe fans were complaining that it was too hooked up, or maybe the track themselves just thought it was too hooked up. But I think they just tried to put that modified feature first to give it a good. Because I mean, if it wouldn't have rubbered and it would have stayed slick, it would have been definitely the best track of the week. But it just got a little out of hand and too many laps on it,
which can happen quick. Me and Shane talk about it all the time, and like prepping a track is the hardest thing you ever do in your life, and everybody wants to criticize you about it, but at the end of the day, they don't know what it takes. And that track in Volusia gets a lot of laps on it in a short amount of time, because the modified start racing there before the ASCS gets there, and then ASCS runs, and then the modifieds keep running, and then you guys show up, and then the late models, and then USAC. That track gets beat up. We thought that the Chili Bowl and the shootout day gets beat up. Volusia gets beat up. Bad.
Yep, I agree. It doesn't. They don't get a break for really. Because, I mean, after all those races you just listed, and then they got late models now, USAC, and then the Outlaws come back.
They come back on the, second and third. Yeah, I mean, which is a Sunday, Monday, which is wild. But, hey, you know what? Yeah. That's who makes the schedule. So, So after the February 21st, are you going to go out to Vegas and run the high limit deal?
Yes, I'm going to do Vegas, and then the whole California high limit swing, which I think is 4 or 5 tracks, and then we'll head either straight to Oklahoma or back to South Dakota for a couple days and then to Oklahoma and run Lawton, Wichita, Arrowhead.
I'm glad Lawton's open. I'm glad they're about to
Yeah,
open.
Lawton's a good track.
I love Lawton. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad that they were able to get their deal built back up from the fire.
Mhm.
That's just a cool place to race at.
Yeah, I enjoy Lawton a lot.
Yeah.
So
Well,
quite
and it's
a bit
also
of,
nice too for Liebig that you still have a shop here, so
yeah,
you know you can race out of that and not
Yeah.
have to worry about a Walmart parking lot. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. We got everything they need here. Even it's got an apartment down there in the shop that with enough beds for everyone. So it'll be good. It's nice to have this kind of more central because where they're at. It's Rapid City. It's like 30 minutes from Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
It's in the middle of nowhere, really.
Oh,
And
it's out Sturgis area.
yes, yeah, it's like an hour. 30 minutes, maybe an hour from
Yeah.
Rapid.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've actually raced in Rapid City.
oh, really?
Yep. So
Yeah, it's
would have been 06.
Yeah.
We followed the Outlaws out after Nationals, and we ran Billings, and of course this was also when NST was going on. So we kind of followed NST and Outlaws. So we went to like Billings, Montana, and then we went to, it was Rapid City first, and I remember it was so wild because we were parked with or next to Kyle Hurst, and the track was two different tracks, and it was a small track inside the big track, and it had just rained really bad, and this was back when Jack Hodenshield was still racing too, so this is kind of dating me a little bit, and but they had, you've driven on the highway, obviously you're at least old enough to drive now.
Yeah.
But you know the white pylons that have the reflectors on top, just like the skinny
Yeah.
ones. So they had those on the top of the turns.
See where you're going?
And so that way you could see where the edge of the track was. Well,
Did it not have a wall?
No wall.
Oh, okay.
But it had
has
a wall.
now.
So it had a wall out like at the old track or the big track, right? Well,
Is that Black Hills Speedway you're talking about?
yes.
Black Hills? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it's the only track out there.
Yeah.
And
It's in Rapid.
yeah. And so it had rained so much, we all left our shoes there. Like literally, like we like pulled our shoes off, left them outside the toter home, got in and left. Like it was so muddy, it was so nasty. But they got the show in. Well, Hod came into 1 and 2, and he went off the track. Well, he's just down there like doing donuts in the water where the rain had and all the mud, and they never threw the yellow because they didn't know he was down there because it was kind of like a drop off. And he finally got going enough, and he just came back up and like was going the wrong way in turn 1 and stopped on the track.
That's crazy.
And it's out in the middle of nowhere. I'm pretty sure it was right off the highway.
Yeah, it's it's more like I think they built around it now because it's more it's not in the center of town, but there's a lot of buildings around it.
Okay.
No. But my car owner Shane, he used to own Black Hills Speedway. Maybe I don't know if it would have been one of the years that you were there, but yeah, he used to own it.
It would have been 06. That was the year that we followed him out.
I'm not sure if he I know that he had the Outlaws there when he owned it, but I'm not sure if.
Yeah. It was a fun time. We had a blast. I mean, and it was good racing. But back then, man, like I tell this to everybody, and you know, and it kind of brings up what I've said before when you and Billy first went sprint car racing, and Billy called me from Florida. And he said, man, I'm doing what you were doing when I first met you. And I said, man, just always find something positive out of every night. And he goes, man, Jimmy said the same thing. And I said, yeah. I was like, you're going to find out. And man, dude, I don't know how many times we loaded up and left before the A main because we just get our dick knocked in the dirt and that was one of them times. Like we watched the A main for some reason that night, but we weren't in it. You know, and there was a lot of that back then, man. And I'm glad to see that you have the success and you're able to put good nights together. And I know you have nights where you feel like you haven't done the best, right? I mean, that's
well, I mean,
that's a driver, right?
up until the whole last year and quite a bit of the year before, up until I got with Liebig, I mean, I pretty much got kicked down in the dirt every single time, and it's not fun. I'll say that. So
no, it just puts a wear on you. I mean, mentally, physically. You contemplate yourself as a driver. The crew contemplates. What am I even doing? It's just a hard thing to do.
Yeah, but it definitely makes the good nights a lot better.
Absolutely.
So,
You actually had a good night with a good friend of mine, with old Guy Forbrook last year.
Yeah.
What was it like driving for that guy?
It was good. I get along with Guy. I still text him today, but no, it was really good. He's definitely an old school racer. And a hardcore guy. It was funny because I got in his car and we went out. It was just, I didn't practice or nothing, and it
was Knoxville, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Knoxville, but I think it was the first time I ever got out of my own car. And
I was there that night because I came over to Guy and I was like, "What are you doing, slumming, looking for drivers like this?"
Yeah, I felt like I remember you being there.
Oh yeah, I was there, and you went out and set quick time. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, there you go."
Yeah. So when we went out and set, we were good after hot laps, and he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was happy, but he wasn't. He was like, okay, like yeah, not bad. I was stoked because that's the best I ever timed in Knoxville. Just after hot laps.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, well, you need to do this, this, and this better. So I was like, okay. And then went out and qualified, went quick time, and I come in and I'm like smiling ear to ear, and he's just straight faced, like,
oh yeah,
you're good, blah blah blah. It was just always could be better here, blah blah blah. And I don't have a problem with that at all. I honestly prefer it that way. He just was always telling me something I need to do better, trying to help. And so, I mean, I was constantly learning every time I went out there and raced with him. And by the end of it, I mean, it was a really fun experience. And doing that is what really got me hooked up with Shane. And so he's and then he also is just a good life coach, just with trying to explain to me what it takes to beat these guys and be the best. And he was very helpful in the short time that I got to work with him.
Well, a lot of people don't know that Guy drove a sprint car.
Yep.
And he was actually a national champion snowmobiler at 16. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So little bit of history with me and obviously knowing you. So my dad drove for Guy Forbrook as well. My dad was actually Guy Forbrook's first driver that he hired, but it was also my dad's last car that he drove.
Okay.
So I have a relationship with Guy that has been since I was. Man, I couldn't even tell you when I met him, right? Like I was probably in diapers,
Yeah.
And
long time.
Yeah, and he's always been. I'll never forget the first time I went to Knoxville as a wrench, right? And I knew that I had to go to Guy. I got to go talk to Guy. And I went over there. I was like, man, what do you think? And he's like, man, just do this, this, and this, and go out and have a good time. And that's probably the best advice I could ever have gotten from somebody like him, because he didn't have to talk to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's built his street cred. Is how I put it. And but I love that he always sits and anytime I see him, and if I don't get to talk to him, I'll text him like, hey man, I'm sorry I didn't get to see you, whatever. Or when you were there that night, like he's just always, man, how are you? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's your dad? How's your mom? I mean, he's just a genuine person. And to drive for somebody like him is has to be pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a real good guy, and he was a lot of fun to work with. He was very serious during the race, but before and after, he was just like me and you talking, just a good guy to talk to. So I had a lot of fun driving for him.
So now that we've got that out of the way, let me tell you a story about this one time with Guy. So I was at Knoxville when I was a kid, and I don't know if it was after my dad was done racing and we were just there, or if it was when my dad drove for Guy. I can't really remember. But we rode in the rig. I don't know if my brother was in or not, but we were leaving the racetrack, and something happened with, it was like a road rage deal. And there was a guy that used to work for Weld. He's a big old black guy. I can't remember his name, but he was Guy's crew guy at the time. And man, you want to talk about some road rage in a rig. Boy, they took off after this car. And I'm like, what are we doing? Oh, you just sit back there. And dude, I don't even know how old I was. I'll never forget that. Like, they chased this guy down in the car, in the rig. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, I'm freaking out as a kid. And it was just good times, man. Just the racing stuff that nobody ever gets to hear about, man. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of fun. Good times between the races.
He's a little bit older now. He told me actually that night that I seen you this summer, it'll be 40 years since he's been paralyzed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened when he was pretty young.
Yeah, he was super young. And they actually said that like he laid out there because it was in a regular car. It wasn't even in a but he laid out there for 3.5 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
But he got like thrown through the windshield, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if they would have got to him in like the first 30 minutes, he'd probably still be walking. And honestly, if it would have happened in today's time, he'd probably be fine. Like, they probably would have been able to fix him. But what I like about Guy the most is when some of these young kids that do end up in a bad circumstance, and obviously like with Dayson or Chase Johnson, he's typically always the first one to reach out and say, hey, let me help you through this,
Right.
And I think that's pretty cool. I think that's really cool. So.
No, yeah, I agree.
So outside of Guy, we'll get past that. But so are you pretty pumped about being in the 10 car? I mean, you think it's going to be a good summer?
Yeah, no, I think I don't really have I don't want to set any goals really, because I don't know what to expect, but I know to expect good things, but I don't know, I really think, there's no limit to how many races that we could win together in my mind. The car is always really good. I'm always really comfortable in it, and I think as long as I keep working to be as in shape and mentally focused as I can be, then there's really no limit to what we can do.
Oh yeah, you got to get off the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Get off the couch.
It's hard to do
Get you
sometimes.
a Peloton, man.
I got a bike.
You got a bike? Nice.
Got a bike and a treadmill.
My wife asked me for a Peloton the other day, And I was like, well, if I get you a Peloton, are you going to not use the other
Yeah.
stepper equipment that you haven't used yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's normally how it goes. My dad, he got a Peloton for Kirsty. She used it for about 2-3 weeks, and then I don't think she used it in the past like 7 months.
Oh, I need to hit up your dad. Maybe he's got a Peloton for sale.
Hey, maybe. It's been sitting for so long, the subscription has ran out, so you go to open it, and then
it won't even open.
you gotta make an account.
Nice. A couple people wanted to say what's up. Well, Sean Hamilton, what's up? You don't know Sean. He's my best friend from back home.
How's it going, Sean?
Tobe said you better say hi to me, too, as well. You don't want me to feel left out, but I'm good on that.
Hi, everybody that's saying hi.
Yeah. And then, yeah. What else? Let's see here. Bobby Walford, he wants me to come to the barbershop do a show. Hey, let's set it up, man. I'll come by your show. I'll come by your shop. We'll do a show.
You do this? Are you in your bar?
I'm actually at my house right now. I am in the... so, people ask me all the time, like, where's the Lumber Lounge and Garage? Well, it's just my house.
It's your house?
Yeah. It's like, I just sit in my garage. That's how it first started, right? So, like, when me and Shane do the show, we do it out of Port City at Turn 5. But up until I did it with him, I just sat in my garage. I
didn't realize that.
Yeah, the very first time that... the very first live I ever did was my wife holding my cell phone and just sitting here, just like telling people about my website and that I had shirts and yada yada yada, and then now it's turned into people like to hang out and just shoot the shit. And but yeah, no, like the Lumber Lounge and Garage is literally my house. It is my garage. Right now I have a motorcycle on my lift that I'm putting air ride on, and it's completely torn apart, and it's I do a lot of different things, and I enjoy it. And when me and Shane started the bench racing deal, it was whether we talk about racing or not, we just sit there and we need to hang out and like talk about golf or talk about who won the Phoenix Open, or what I mean, and just that's just what to me bench racing is, and so it's just kind of turned into something different than what I expected it. And I mean, I'm not going to shy away from it by no means. You know me. So Marty Britton, he's he's one of your Marty, the one man party. Just call him that from now on.
Is he listening?
Oh yeah, he just said you need more Nance pictures hanging up. So again, full circle. So Marty's dad is Bones, and Bones actually lived in my house for one summer, for 1 year, and was my dad's crew chief. So I have known Marty for a few years now, but known his dad for even longer. So it just racing comes full circle, man. It's so wild.
No, it's funny, Marty. He's a good dude.
I'm glad Marty got away. Marty had a really good career in IndyCar, and I'm glad that he's
Marty's working on the 10.
No, I know.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if you knew that.
Yep. I was going to bring that up, and then when he got on here, started talking, I figured I would say that. He actually made a post about how he was coming to work with you guys, and I think it's cool. Marty's a hell of a worker and hell of a fabricator, and just an all-around good person.
Yeah. No, he definitely knows what he's doing with the sprint cars.
Anthony Timmerman said it's past your bedtime.
It's nowhere near past my bedtime.
It's only 9 o'clock.
Yeah. I'm a nighter.
Oh, aren't we all?
They get on to me about Dickie and Marty both get on to me about sleeping in. They like to be up when the sun's coming up.
Oh, Dickie. Is that Dickie?
Yep.
I didn't know his name was Anthony.
Yeah. I didn't know that either for a while.
So Dickie's on the team with you guys too? I know
Not
he was at
full
Volusia.
time. Yeah, not
Yeah.
full time. He's not gonna be. Well, he's got Jules' deal, and then
Yeah.
he's got
Mhm.
his ice rink. So he's not gonna be at TMS, but he's gonna go to Vegas and all that.
He drives the Zamboni.
Yep,
Isn't that fucking cool?
that is cool.
I knew Turtle would like my Tang. I don't know if you're watching or not, but I had a friend of mine make me a Lumber Lounge and Garage 3D printed chain,
Yep.
and it's a massive medallion. It's pretty.
You
damn
wear
cool.
it?
Oh, I'm wearing it right now.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I debuted it right now. I wore it yesterday for the Chiefs game, because I'm a big Chiefs fan. That didn't pan out too well.
Oh, yeah, I see it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's pretty good size.
You look good sitting there. So.
That's my cheetah chair, bud. Yeah, next time you come on the show, we'll have to have you down. We'll get you on the casting couch. We got a red couch. It's pretty mint. Bought it for the Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
Marty said you probably just woke up. I can attest that that's not true because I was texting him earlier.
I was texting Marty earlier, too. He knows what time I woke up, actually. He already asked me today.
Oh, Marty.
But yeah.
He's a good dude. Jake Hodges. There's a lot of people watching. Jake is from across the pond.
Huh?
Speaking across the pond, Bobby Millicer is across the pond right now. All janky.
What do you mean across the pond exactly?
He's in Australia.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So Jake Hodges, he worked with my brother and Brandon last year on their car. But he's over there. He's back home now. He's from Australia. He works on Lockie McHugh's car with Nick Speed. And then Bobby, he took a trip over to Australia to work with Zoe Pierce on her midget. And so I think he's going to be over there for a week or two, maybe. So
yeah.
So we got a few internationals watching. And then Bud from Hoagies just got done with town council meeting. So now that he said this, I have to say this. So I texted Bud from Hoagies today, and I said, "Hey, I'm having Ryan Timms on." But what I said was, I am having I didn't say the year of the 2025 Houston's track champion on the show tonight.
That's what you said?
That's what I told him. I feel like you're going to be the track champion this year.
I feel like it too, but I'm not going to jinx myself here.
Yeah, and I hope that I'm not jinxing you on it either. I just feel like from day one when you showed up to Houston's, you just got it.
Right.
You know, but I also when Dayson first went there, I know he got a win there with my brother and Brandon. But I told Dayson when he first went there, and maybe you can attest to this. I said, man, it's like Port City for a wing sprint car.
Mm-hmm.
Like
honestly, like that's what everyone says, and that's what my dad said, and he lives by. That's why I'm so good there. It's just because it reminds me of Port City. But me personally, I don't see it at all. Right? I think it's like not completely different, but I don't know. I don't really see it. But you're definitely not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah. Well,
but maybe it is, and I just don't see it, and that's just. But with Dayson, him just popping up there and going good there is like, well, maybe that kind of made me think, oh yeah, maybe it is just like Port City.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to the talent that comes out of Oklahoma. I think right now, you got the West Coast, you got Oklahoma, these young kids from the West Coast are coming out and doing damage in the Midwest. You know, like Landon Brooks, and I think there's some other kids out there that can come out and do some damage if they give them the right opportunity. And I just think you guys adapt better, and I think the biggest reason you guys adapt better is because when you guys raced micros, you went and you showed up and you ran 3 or 4 different classes in one night, and so you had to adapt quickly to each class. And I think when you show up to a racetrack that you've never been to, you adapt better because you only have to worry about one car.
Right. And like, I think a lot of it's, there's a lot of different things, but I think a lot of it's seat time. Like, when we ran all 4, which would be restrictor, both stock, and then, sometimes 5, but mainly restrictor, both stock classes, and then wing outlaw. Sometimes there was non-wing outlaw, but, I want to say we would race like 100 to 110 races a year. We'll just say 80, because I'm not really, between 80 and 110, 4 A features every night.
Yeah.
Of those 80 or 110.
Yeah.
You're getting over 100 laps between heat races and A features in one night times 80 to 100, whatever the math is on that. It's a ton of laps.
And if that doesn't make you better, I don't know what does.
Right.
You know.
So I think that's
so that leads
running.
me to another question, because you did all that, like you did the 4 or 5 classes a night. Do you get bored now because you run one car a night?
Yeah, I get bored waiting between. It's not really. I don't get bored. Well, I don't get bored. It just depends, because I'll sometimes, I don't do it much anymore, but sometimes I would do midget and 410 or 360 410, and it's too much. Like you don't have enough time to even think between races. But I mean, if you got like 3 or 4, like a class in between to give you time, then that's like perfect. But when it's just those 2 classes there and it's constantly back to back, it's way too much, honestly. Yeah. But I don't know, maybe. But like this past weekend when you got all the modifieds there and you're waiting an hour or 2 between, it's terrible.
Horrible. And hey, that's not just for you drivers. Like, as a crew guy that has done it for years, like, it's the worst. It is the worst. Because, I mean, it's just like hurry up and wait, you know?
So. A lot of it. But.
Well, Ryan, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and I appreciate you taking time out. And
anytime.
Next time we'll get you in when you're in town, and we'll sit down and we'll have a chat with Shane too, because I know Shane. I like having Shane talk to you young guys, because obviously he's been in the trenches like you, and he has questions that I could never think of, because you know he's been there and he's done it, right? So again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate Woody, which obviously me and you knew each other, but Woody was like, "I need to call Ryan." I was like, "Oh, all right, I'll call him." And so Woody's a good dude. And good luck to you this year in the Liebig car. Have fun. That first and foremost, right? I know you're going to win races, and I think that everybody knows that. So also I appreciate everybody here that's watching. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Lumber Lounge and Garage Bench Racing live shows. Next week we'll be back. I think Shane will be back next week, Ryan. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he will. I know he misses it. He texts me all the time, "Man, I'm sorry I can't be there." But at least I get to fill it in with cool people like Ryan. And if you do want to support the cause, please go to thelumberlounge.com, buy you some swag, or hit me up. I still don't have some of the bench racing hats on the website yet, but please hit me up. I can get those taken care of and get those out to you. Appreciate you coming and joining us to listen to what me and Ryan had to talk about tonight. Ryan, appreciate you, buddy. And we'll see you guys next week. I appreciate all the sponsors. I know I didn't give a rundown on it tonight, but I will get back to that. It's just sometimes it's hard when I'm by myself. So appreciate it. Love every single one of you. We'll see you next week on the Lumber Lounge and Garage Bench Racing live shows. See you, Ryan.
See you, man.
Thanks, buddy.
If you want to do it again sometime, let me know.
Oh, absolutely, man. I will.
All right.
See you. Bye. And I also ran out of beer. So there's that. Thank you, guys.